What's up, everyone? Welcome to an all-new episode of Casters of Horror. I'm Shane, and this week I'll be belly flopping into the shallow end of Night Swim. Written and directed by Bryce McGuire, Night Swim is actually based on his horror short film from several years ago, which has a runtime of like 3 minutes. All right, so the feature film is going to add about an hour and a half to that, but does it add any depth? Let's find out. First of all, a bit about the original short horror film. It's 3 minutes long. There's really not much to it. There are going to be spoilers here. I'll talk about it real briefly. It essentially features a woman who is swimming in a swimming pool at night. That's the title. And she goes under the water, and when she looks up, she sees someone standing at the edge of the pool. All right, so she surfaces, and there's nobody there. This happens a couple times, and eventually some shenanigans happen, and she, I guess, is pulled under, lights go out, and then when the lights come back on, she's not there anymore. And that's pretty much the entirety of the short film, right? It's very well done short horror film. It's, has spooky atmosphere. There's something going on. You don't really know what's going on at all. You never find out, right? So it works well as a 3-minute horror film. The theatrical version has to take that concept and stretch it out. And of course, we do get some actual lore behind what's going on, so I guess that's a good addition, right? But the film starts out kind of in a similar way. It's not really a one-to-one thing, right? The film actually starts out with a little girl who is trying to fish something out of a pool. She has a family member who is clearly ill, right? And she's like, hey, I see your boat in the swimming pool, right? So she goes down to the pool at night. She tries to get the pool or the boat out of the pool, and she gets sucked into the pool, right? And then she's thrashing and screaming about, and then same deal as with the short film, lights flicker, go out, and when they come back up, she's not there anymore, right? So there's very obviously something sinister and haunted about this swimming pool, which just sounds really weird, but it is what it is. Anyway, the film proper picks up with a family. We have Riot Russell playing Ray Waller, and he is a former baseball player who is now not doing so well. We kind of find out a little bit into the film that he seems to be suffering from the early stages of MS. Right, so he's walking with a cane. He obviously don't have the strength or agility to play ball anymore, right? And him and his family are looking for a new place to live. His wife is played by Carrie Condon. She plays the role of Eve Waller. And I will say that Carrie Condon absolutely carries this film. I mean, that's just the way it is. To be clear, the acting throughout the whole film is great, right? I have no problems with it at all, but Carrie Condon takes what she's given and elevates it as best as she can, right? And so if that's kind of an indicator to how I feel about this film, I guess let's get into it, right? They end up at this house, and as them and their 2 kids, and as the dad ends up being in the pool more, right? They drain the pool, and like at one point he's cleaning out the drain and it cuts him, right? But then as he is swimming in the pool, as the days progress, he starts noticing that he's feeling a little better, and at one point he even noticed that the severe cut on his hand has completely healed. Right? Now, there are some scenes where the kids are in the pool at various times, and they both have some spooky encounters. Okay, there are a few scenes in this film, I guess you could say, are mild jump scares. There are a few scenes that, have some spooky imagery. And so both the kids end up knowing there's something going on in this pool, right? And essentially, they end up finding out that, the pool itself is fed by a natural spring, okay? And now, at this point in the film, I had actually started to wonder, before they revealed the natural spring film, I had actually started to wonder if they were going to end up honestly going with the whole classic trope of, the swimming pool was built on an Indian burial ground, right? Which, may not be, a great thing to say nowadays, but that's what films used to do, right? And the whole reason I say that is because this film, it feels very generic. It feels very safe, right? And I know back when we did the Boogeyman review, Chris had said something similar about that film, and that's how I feel about this one, right? It's, I don't know, it just, there are points throughout it where I felt like I could predict what was going to happen, right, later in the film. And this was based solely on the fact that it kept using all these just like generic horror tropes, right? There's this one point where their son is in the pool and he starts hearing this voice of a little girl, right? And it's the little girl from the beginning of the film, okay? And he hears her name, right? She's like, "Who are you? What's your name?" or whatever, and she says his name, and I'm like, okay. The whole reason this scene exists, I'm guessing, is so that later one of the parents, probably the mom, can do the whole, the horror movie trope of the internet researching the house, right, or whatever, and then going and visiting the previous owners of the house. And that's exactly what happens, okay? Now, I will give them some credit here. What happens during that portion of the film, I was not expecting. Right? It's nothing major, but it's a bit of a minor twist on that whole trope. So I will give them credit for that. The film overall, though, I just felt was, yeah, like I said, really generic. I mean, it was a film that didn't need to be an hour and a half long. Let's put it that way, I guess, right? Even up into the end, and obviously we try not to do spoilers here, so I won't spoil the ending, but I found the ending to be quite predictable, okay? And just to give a little bit more context to what's happening, the pool does appear to be actually healing the dad, right? But in exchange, the pool requires a sacrifice. And so this is something that has been happening for untold, generations. Well before the actual pool was built, we find out that this natural spring that feeds the pool was likely part of some, ancient culture or whatever. I don't know. So, yeah. The whole film as it stands, I don't know. I'll be honest, I was pretty bored the whole way through. I felt like this thing was way longer than it needed to be. Probably could have been just fine staying as a short film, or maybe even just cutting some content out of this one. It's like they were intentionally trying to go for that hour and 30-minute mark or something. I don't know. All I know is by the end of it, I was glad it was over. Again, I can give props to the acting. Very well done. A lot of it is just really their writing and the story. And, I've said before, any film I don't like is still more of a film than I've ever made. So, props to everyone involved. You did your best with what you were given. But this one, I don't know, guys. I just, for me, didn't work. Didn't work at all. I was bored the whole way through, and that was just for the parts that I wasn't predicting, right? And, I don't know, as a horror film, this is pretty vanilla. I don't really see how you could be scared by this film, right? And that's not even, putting the silly premise aside. There's just not really a lot going on here. And yeah, so I don't know. That was my take on the film. I was looking forward to seeing this one. We had James Wan attached to it. Let's be perfectly clear here. James Wan is attached to it because it's his company that did it. And that's pretty much it. He's obviously listed as a producer. I'm guessing that's just because he, owns the company. But this, to me, does not have a James Wan stamp on it. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. Have you seen Night Swim? I'd like to know. Am I way off base on this one? Or did this one just not work for anyone else either? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I don't know. Leave me your thoughts. Leave me some more suggestions of some movies that we can watch. And hopefully the next one will be better. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.